Hello, everyone. This is the start of a new week, and of course, we're so happy to have you join us today. This is Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television from the economic capital of Nigeria, Lagos. My name is Henry Igwebike. We'll be starting off today, as usual, with our newspapers, and right after that would be our main conversation also for today. But please do well to be part of what we do. Have a say in what we say. You can always find and reach us at enterprise.tvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at enterprise.tv7. We're very so honored to have with us Emeka Maldonago, journalist, public affairs analyst, joining us via Zoom. Good morning to you, Emeka.
Yeah, good morning.
All right. So
welcome to a new week.
Thank you so very much. So let's start off with the first newspaper on our desk. That is The Guardian. And we have interesting stories here. Pope has a mild kidney failure, remains in critical condition, says Vatican. And also we have a journey in service after thoughts of the Maradona, say critics, as IBB shares June 12 blame game. But let's take a look at our talking point for today. 1966 coup, Ohanaeze demands apology, 10 trillion naira compensation to Igbo. Emeka, speak to us on that. Of course, the confessional by Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida is drawing lots of hydra-headed issues. One amongst them is the blame game, which of course he said the 1966 coup, which used to be known as the Igbo coup, or which was christened the Igbo coup, wrongly, is what IBB has said is actually very wrong. Ohanaeze is saying the Igbo people should be compensated 10 trillion naira. Speak to us.
Okay, thank you very much. That idea of the Igbo coup was actually a misnomer, which was, just deliberately cooked up by people who chose to, to revise history, instead of standing on the side of the truth. The leader of the coup at that time was Major Chukwuma, Kaduna Nzogu, who was from Opanam, a Midwest state at the time. And Midwest State, we all know where Midwest State was. It wasn't in the East. It was in the East. So how Chukwuma of Midwest now became Chukwuma, an Igbo man of the East. It's very, it's befuddling. Then in the coup, the organizers were 21. While, those, of Igbo, of Eastern extraction, if you call it, if you like, Igbo extraction, were 8 of them. So you cannot also now bring Nzogu, who was from who was from the Midwest, bring him in, Okay, now, people now tag it as an Igbo coup, and the questions arose, which they have not been able to answer. Now, when you say an Igbo coup, the English language is very clear. When you say, Emeka's car, it means the car belongs to Emeka. When you say an Igbo coup, it means the coup was organized, supported, actively aided by Igbos. But the fact that 8 people, and then a 9th person with an Igbo sounding name, were among the 21 officers, military officers who organized the coup, cannot now be said to, be, acting on behalf of, an ethnic nationality, running into millions, and so it's all part of the dirty, manipulative game that has been played in this country, all just for oscillates between the North, and the West. It was just plain. It was just plain. There was nothing else, And so, in running with this, you'll find out that even, that those who push this narrative, they cannot even defend it. They can't even justify it. They bring up all kinds of narratives. Of course, you hear all kinds of horrible things. And thank God for the internet. You can make your research. You can ask questions. You know, you can check the facts. So Ohanaeze taking this step, yes, I commend them. But it's not just about making a demand. I mean, actually, I have said that there should be a class action suit. They should look for people who had made reference to this, maybe in public speeches, you know, in tweets, you know, in articles and all of that, and sue all of them. Yes, when you sue all of them, of course, definitely, the court will now decide whether it is right to tag, you know, to tag an entire ethnic nationality to such a thing. Because look at it. There was a counter coup of July 29, 1966, you know, led by predominantly northern officers. Why didn't somebody target a northern coup? When you go on and on and on and on, but you know, it is because some power-hungry, you know, people whose eyes are predominantly have been clearly, you know, set on looting the treasury, you know, so they have, you know, perpetrated this lie. And I think Ohanaeze should go to court. Yes. You know, there are such instances, there are people like that, you know, whom they can use as an example. There are people whom they can use as an example, you know, I mean, whose published works are in the public domain. They can start from there. Then now demand reparations, you know, because if a key actor, you know, because there are some people who, even after the publication of Bangila's book, have still tried to maintain it. Take such people to court. Let them come out. Let them get their own lawyers to, you know, justify this thing. Let's even ventilate the judicial process, you know, so that people will know that, you know, there are consequences for tagging an entire ethnic nationality to such things. It's odious. It's terrible. Like you saw under Buhari, when, you know, people are talking about, you know, Fulani headsmen as the one attacking, you know, communities. Of course, you saw how the Buhari administration came out, you know, strongly to say, no, it is criminal headsmen, not criminal Fulani headsmen. That the tag Fulani headsmen was wrong, because they are not the only ones heading cattle. So, you know, be that as it may, if only 8 out of 21 officers were Igbo extraction, and you chose to target an Igbo coup, then you should go to the court and explain what you mean. Yes, the time has come now for us, you know, to remove the gloves, so that let us deal with these issues once and for all. Thank you.
Yes, Emeka, just before I interjected you, I wanted to ask, because the issue under reference is pervasive. It's like a wildfire. Every single Southeasterner is suffering from the same issue, from Kaduna to Maiduguri, even in Lagos. Usually when there are, you know, consequences, it's like more targeted towards that particular sect, and that is borrowed from the 1966 issue, which was tagged the Igbo coup. How can we, in the present and also in the future, try to cut this umbilical cord that has been transferred from one generation, from one decade to another, and the consequences the people from the southeast of Nigeria still face up until today?
That is why we need a well-educated and unbiased media. Because sadly, you know, the media has been dragged into this by mischievous elements. Journalists who should be, you know, arbiters of truth, who should be ministers in the temple of truth, you know, have been unfortunately dragged into all of this, you know, revisionism. Now, let me tell you one funny thing. You know, after the Dimka coup of 1976, you know, February 13, 1976, you know, in his coup speech, Dimka, Colonel Bukasuka Dimka, you know, when he started his speech, he said, I bring you, you know, good tidings. Now, you know what some people did? They quickly went to the media to say it was a Christian coup. If you read, I think, was it a book, was it one of the books by Obasanjo or so, whereby it was said that, you know, that idea now began to spread in the north, that it's Christians who say you know, I mean, who at Christmas, they talk about good tidings. So you can see the spin, you can see the dangerous spin that people can bring, you know, to a statement. The man just said, you know, I bring you good tidings. And then the next thing, some people just looking for justification, bloodthirsty individuals. What they were just looking for was not, you know, to condemn the coup, to ensure justice. But what were they looking for? Just to tag some people, tag Christians, you know, to it. And simply because Dimka was a Christian too. So they just quickly spun a narrative. But I'm happy that today we have social media, you know. So things like this can easily be busted. Lies like this can easily be destroyed in their tracks. You know, you can imagine. So that was why, for instance, Obasanjo had to be asked to quickly assume power. I think it was Danjuma or so at that time, who asked Obasanjo to quickly assume power, you know, and make a speech to dispel this the notion that it was a Christian coup. So it is very, very important that, you know, we make every effort to debunk all these lies. All right, so it's unfortunate.
Yes, so while we try to debunk the lies, we have another story which, of course, is coming from what we had just talked about. 2027, APC warns Tinubu of Southeast risks as El-Rufai seeks alliance to rescue Nigeria. Are we towing the same line from where we just finished talking about right now, the Southeast risks? What do you think the APC is talking about? Are they referring or inferring that the Southeast might not be the best upset for APC, or what exactly are they talking about here?
No, it's the usual vilification of Igbos. Every election cycle, every election season, you know, you see people wanting to make the Igbos the fall guy, you know, to cast them in a negative mold. Instead of going out to win the people's votes, you just see idle minds, you know, mischievous minds, you know, who just want, just for their own benefits, you know, to cause confusion. And what is the Southeast risk? Who they are referring to is Peter Obi. You know, the fear about Peter Obi, it remains a palpable. They think that he's going to, and Peter Obi has come out to say that he's not desperate to get any political party's ticket. You saw last week, you saw the, you know, the odious, you know, comment by the Labour Party's national chairman, you know, Julius Apure, where he said that the party had not zoned his tickets to the Southeast. You know, I mean, who asked him that? INEC has not even declared the timeline for the 2027 election. INEC has not asked parties to go and conduct primaries. The only place where primaries are being expected right now is in Anambra State. I think on March 1 or so, when parties, you know, we expect from March 1 to sometime in March, when parties will be expected to hold their primaries, you know, and produce the governorship candidates for the Anambra State election, you know, for their respective parties. So for people to, you know, the problem is an absence of issues. Our values in Nigeria are so poor. We're not talking about the high cost of things. We're not talking about the fact that, you know, many people cannot send their children to school. People cannot afford high rent. You know, we are not talking about insecurity in the country. We're not talking about the Amajiri problem, that millions of children of school age are out on the streets. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about the bad roads. We're not talking about infrastructure. But you see, propagandists in the government, in the Tinubu administration, you know, keep people busy. They just bring up one thing, you know, using their agents. You know, they just bring up one thing. And then Nigerians, gullible Nigerians, will now start arguing with them. What are you arguing with them? I tell people, what are you arguing? Is it that you are idle or something? then go and find something to do, get a job, or go and take up a program, online or at a university. Get busy. Leave all of this in, because it doesn't matter. We're not talking about 2027 presidential election right now. There are still some elections to go before 2027. We don't even know what the shape will be like. INEC has not even published the voter register for 2027 for people to go and check their names. INEC has not done the continuous voter registration for people who, are turning 18, who have turned 18 between the last general elections in 2023 and, going forward. INEC has not done that. INEC has not told us whether to register new political parties. Nothing. Even the parties themselves have not organized any national convention. APC has not organized a national convention since 2022. PDP has not organized a national convention. Labour Party has not organized a national convention. Their officers, all their officers are just basically unelected officers. So, and these are the basic things before you talk about 2027 election. So all of these speculations are just because we want to run away from the issues. We want to run away from the key issues, the issues facing us now. Look at prices of food items are said to have come down in many places. But who is talking about? Is the media talking about it? Why is the media not talking about it? Middlemen are hoarding food items, waiting for another chance for food items to go up so that they can, reap, criminal profits. Who is talking about that? Who is talking about that? And it's sad. It's sad that, we occupy ourselves with inanities. The South is risk. What is all that? All that is just balderdash. We're talking about the fact that the cost of living is high. Purchasing power is low. That is what we should be talking about right now. 2027 is still far away. It's still far away. The elections in 2027, INEC has not even fixed the date. But let us assume that they will be in February, characteristically in February 2027. That's 2 years away. There's a lot of time in between 2 years. Now, you're talking about El-Rufai, seeking for how to save the nation. How all of these are just political games. Political games.
Yes, very true. But let's take a look at other issues. The Daily Trust newspaper, our talking point here, how federal government spent $8 billion to support Naira. And that's coming from a renowned economist, Rewani. And Nigerians yet to feel the impact of what they call rebased CPI, which is the inflation. And the federal government, through the CBN, is saying it is not true that all the allegations by Rewani is not true. Speak to us, Emeka. Are we still going in circles, especially with Cardoso and the CBN? What are they hiding? What are they not telling Nigerians?
What they are not telling Nigerians is that the economy is still in a bad shape. That's what they are not telling Nigerians. Through their direct auction of dollars, they've been able to keep speculation in check, to some extent. That's why the Naira has not dropped to 1,008 or 2,000 Naira, to a dollar. But what Rewani was trying to say was that, the interventions by the CBN, have, led to this and all of that. But don't forget, it's our foreign reserves that have also taken a beating with the effort by the Tinubu administration to keep the exchange rate at within a certain band, not to exceed 1,006 or so, But of course, based on his 2025 budget, projection, it's looking at an exchange rate of 1,005 for 2025, for which it has been making efforts and all of that, clear debt, owed airlines and all of that. But you can see that, yes, federal government is saying it's not true. Yes, of course, that's what they will say. But the point is this: they have made interventions in keeping the Naira, from sinking so low. The floating of the Naira was a hasty decision. It was an ill-advised decision, because you cannot float a currency, say it should find its level when you don't have a commensurate level of exports. You should have increased your export. But our main export is oil and gas. It's oil and gas. And so, what have we made from it? Don't forget, we have forward sales. We have debts owed different institutions and, organizations. So when you remove it from the 1.7 million barrels per day, which they said, we're producing, how many are remaining? Then when you now divide it 60-40 on joint venture, 60 for Nigeria, 40 for the oil majors. What is remaining for us? Then you also have the allocation that you're supposed 445,000 barrels per day that's supposed to go for local production. So when you remove all of this, when you factor all of these things, where do we really stand? Then you look at oil theft. It's still high. Where do we stand? So when you rebase the CPI, but how is it you now say that inflation dropped to 28%, but you came out again to say no, that people got it wrong. They got your methodology wrong. You see, all in all, have the prices of items dropped in the market? Well, you might say that there are feelers that the price of things have dropped, but are the people feeling it? The answer is no. Has the price of petrol dropped? The answer is no. Filling stations are still selling between 925 and 1,000 plus across the country. So when you talk about rebasing the economy, that the economy is larger and all that, well, yes, to some extent we may agree with you, because the informal sector is largely not captured. You have a large number of Nigerians who are on bank, who don't have and all of that. So trying to bring them into the into the economic basket will make sense. That's what makes it look like, okay, we have a bigger economy than this. They are bringing in different economic activities, but that doesn't mean that the average Nigerian, is having a better life. Has had a better life since the Tinubu administration came into being on May 29, 2023. So what needs to be done is deliberate actions must be taken to improve the economy, to roll back insecurity, and to ensure jobs for Nigeria. The National Bureau of Statistics, I must say, sadly, has not given us much hope in terms of the statistics it's been issuing. It issued one, some set of statistics some years ago where he said that, the rate, now brought it down to, at least being engaged for at least 1 hour in a week. Can you tell me who makes so much, who makes enough, where the World Bank says that Nigerians are living on less than, $2 per day. $1 right now is 1,006. That means $2 is over 3,000 naira. And that there are many Nigerians living, millions of Nigerians living, on less than $2 a day. So when you now break it down, how can you now be saying that, that the economy has improved and all of that? You are lying to yourself.
Yes, Emeka,
you're lying to yourself. And this is not the time to lie.
Yes, please speak to us, and this is on the Vanguard newspaper, just before we let you leave. Why I introduced SAP, other policies that's coming from IBB. Do you think there is any difference between what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is doing currently with Nigeria's economy and what IBB has done with the Nigeria's economy? Remember the floating of the naira, which of course you talked about, that was ill-advised, as made possible by Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was exactly what President IBB did, during his time. So tell me, what do you think is the difference between IBB's sort of administration in running the economy and what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is doing currently to Nigeria's economy?
No, there are two different things. So what Babangida did was devaluation, yes, which Tinubu has done with the floating of the naira. He has devalued the naira by over 300%, and then by floating the naira, yes. But Babangida, did that to get, a loan from the IMF with all the conditionalities and all of that. And there was no need for that. There was no need for that because that money wasn't going to be invested in new industries. It wasn't going to be invested in education. It wasn't going to be invested in maybe discovering new oil fields or developing new oil fields, new marginal fields. It wasn't going to be invested in science and technology.
But don't you
so
think
that money was just basically for a correct expenditure.
And Emeka, don't you think that was what was used in building Lagos, as it were? Because let's not keep that away from IBB. He did a lot when it comes to infrastructure. Third Mainland Bridge, of course, he didn't start it, but he finished it. And so many other awesome infrastructure. Abuja itself, he was the one that made it possible. Don't you think the loans he got from IMF were what he actually used for those? But
you have to look at the collateral. Recently, the Minister of Finance said that they are not, you cannot borrow your way to prosperity. Yes, it's good to build bridges, it's good to build roads, airports, and all of that. Infrastructure is good. But you also have to factor in the ability, the capacity, of the economy to absorb all this, and the capacity. It's one thing to borrow. It's another thing to have the capacity. Look at the fact that in the valley, the only way you can shore it up, will be through exports. Which exports did Babangida bring up at that time? What we ended up doing was exporting, exporting our doctors, lecturers, and all kinds, different kinds of professionals, because their professions now largely became unprofitable, and so they had to flee to foreign lands.
All right.
Not just to build cities, bureaus. You have to look at the fact that your earning capacity should be at such a level that you can balance the loans, the borrowing.
Very, very true. Very, very true. Because just like from your analysis, it still points to the fact that there ain't any big difference between what IBB did and what Bola Ahmed Tinubu is doing in 2025. But of course, we have to leave it at that. Mecca, thank you so very much for being here. Just to let you know, he will be here, of course, to take us on our main conversation for today. That is when we return. APC urges federal government to withhold allocations over alleged illegal council appointment in Osun State. That and the beat is still Enterprise Morning. Please don't go anywhere.